Happy Saturday Sadhana to all of our friends. Hi, we're starting. Welcome.
Oh, okay, here we go.
That was our intro. Namaste.
Yes.
We are picking up on part 2, picking up from where we left off from Anuja
Our
K.
girl knew.
Last week, we learned about Alap and Bandish. Alap is the opening section of the Raag that's improvised and kind of establishes the mood. We learned that.
Mm-hmm.
And the Bandish, I made a note, that's the composition after the Alap that introduces the rhythm and the tal. So today we're going to learn about the, how do you say this word? Layakari?
And Taan?
Layakari and Taan. So we'll let her say it, and then we'll know how to say it. But before we do...
There we go. Yes, before we start, please, if you like what you see, we would love it if you'd hit the like and subscribe button and ring that bell so you always know what is happening with our channel.
Are you wondering what this is? Well, I'm sure you have heard this pattern many a time at some place or the other, but maybe you just don't know what it is called. If you want to know, then well, keep watching this episode of the Basic Theory of Indian Music with me, Anuja Kamat.
We will!
In the previous episode, we started discussing about how a rag is elaborated, the techniques and the tools that are used to elaborate a rag by a Hindustani vocalist. Well, I'm going to continue the same topic in today's episode, and as we discussed previously about Alapi and Bandish in detail, today we will discuss about Layakari and Taan. When you go to a Hindustani vocal concert, you will realize that the performance of the rag begins with Alapi, and after performing the Alapi, there comes or begins a phase in which the speed of the performance increases, the tempo increases, and rhythm gets a lot of importance. It is at this point that the performer starts performing Layakari and Taan. It is at this point, generally, when the common audience also starts relating to the performance, he becomes attentive. Why? Because as the speed increases, there is this certain increase in the energy level.
Sure.
And the performer gets a lot of scope to bring about acrobatics in his performance. Now, all this brings about a wow factor in the performance, and the common audience starts enjoying it more. So coming back to the point, let us discuss the third element used for the elaboration of a rag, that is Layakari.
So just kind of connecting the evolution of the tempo is also pretty unique to what I'm used to growing up. Usually there's I listen to a lot of classical music, my Western classical music that my father would have. But even that seemed to stay pretty consistent in terms of its tempo. There would be an obvious shift from one section to another, maybe from an aria to another, depending on how it's mapped out. But it's interesting because not only does Indian classical music utilize the space in between the equal tempo notes, but it also utilizes the tempo to feed or to induce a level of energy, like she's suggesting by design. It's not just I'm going faster because I'm excited. It is the purpose of that point in the rag to provoke those emotions. We don't really see that outside of Indian classical music, too. At least I can't think of any.
Certainly nowadays as well, because everything pretty much is done to a click track, a metronome.
Right.
And unless it's sort of mapped out to different tempos within the song, it's usually just one speed.
Right.
And so you're relying on other things to provide energy, such as range, power in the singing, just overall energy. But man, the speeding up can definitely. It's such a.
It does. Yeah.
It's a shame it's not utilized more.
And as I'm saying this, I'm also realizing obviously we hear it in cinema. There's a soundtrack. We do hear it in jazz improvisations, but I just don't feel it's usually as it's not as by design
Important.
as it is in the Raag, where it's like it always starts here and you kind of like go up the mountain, so to speak. Interesting.
Yeah.
So what does Layakari mean? Layakari means literally working with rhythm. So what really happens during a Layakari is that the performer starts singing the phrases or performing the phrases of the Raag in a particular rhythm. I know this might sound very vague to you. If I don't give you an example, probably you will not understand what I'm talking about. So I will give you a demo of how a phrase of a Raag sounds when performed as an alap versus how it
perfect.
sounds when it is performed in Layakari style. So here it goes. Phrase of Raag Yaman in Alapi style. Ni re ga ma re ga pa re sa.
God, she hits the notes so smoothly.
Now the same phrase, if I sing it in Layakari style, this is how it sounds.
Now, very different feelings.
Absolutely, yeah.
Same notes. I mean, obviously
added some more inflection to it too, a little bit of vibrato.
Yes. So there's a style shift too, because it's not just okay, I'm playing this tempo versus this tempo. There's more inflections, and it's not just a shift in how fast it goes. That there's definitely a delivery that's taking place that provokes again different emotional intentions.
Yeah, it's like a brand new song.
Yeah.
Now that you heard the demos of the phrases of the Raags in Alapi and Layakari style, did you realize how in the Alapi the phrases are actually sung in a very easygoing manner and in a very slow motion, while at the same time during Layakari the speed increased a little and the phrases were sung in a particular rhythm and in an angular manner. So this is exactly the difference between Alapi and Layakari. Even with the same phrases, you have a different flavor, and this gives in variety to the performance. Many of y'all might ask, how is a Layakari performed? Just as I performed initially, Layakari can be done in sargam. It can also be done in bol or words, using words of the bandish, and the bol Layakari sounds something like this. कह सखी कैसे के करिए भरिए ऐसो लालन के संग
nice bounce to it.
कह सखी कैसे के करिए. So you heard how Layakari can be done in sargam, how it can be done by using the words of a bandish. The question is, can Layakari be done with akar? Well, not really, because there's no scope to perform Layakari in akar. Layakari in akar doesn't sound very pleasing to the ears. It sounds very unaesthetic. And so it is...
I don't remember what akar is. That's the A-K-A-A-R. I think that's A-A-K-A-R. Primarily derives from Sanskrit, meaning the shape or form, the appearance. So I guess I would that term I would use as more of a formant.
Okay.
I believe.
Okay.
You guys can correct us in the comments if that's wrong.
Sound very pleasing to the ears. It sounds very unaesthetic, and so it is avoided by the performers. Is the concept of Layakari clear now? Okay, so let's move on to discuss the fourth and the last element of.
When you're slower too, you also have the opportunity to take advantage of more means, gliding into the note, things like that when it's faster. So there's so many different things that again, it's not just the melody faster. There's other nuance taking place.
Going outside the theme of this video too, I just want to highlight her voice just because she's
every time,
a great teacher, but also just an amazing vocalist, and just how smooth she can get those notes. There's not a hint of a wobble. She just has total control.
By the way, that's pretty rare. There's a lot of teachers that might know, and I would put myself in this category. I know the instrument very well. I can help others discover their voice very well because I understand the mechanics and the psychology behind singing. Not this particular style, of course, but I can't necessarily demonstrate the nuance that I can bring out from somebody else. And I'm first to admit that. So, and then you've got teachers that are amazing vocalists, but they don't know how to communicate it.
They don't know how to
pull it out of the student. She is both. I think she's very special in that regard.
Yeah. Well, I will say, as your friend and somebody that's worked with you, you are a very good singer, and some of the exercises that you convey are amazing. But
the exercises I stand behind, but in terms of that delivery, there's certain styles I know I sing very well, but not necessarily can do all styles well, right? So.
Now, okay, so let's move on to discuss the fourth and the last element of a Hindustani vocal performance, that is Taan. Taan can be defined somewhat as the fastest way of elaborating the phrases of a rag. What happens in a Hindustani classical performance is that you move from slow to fast. So obviously Taan comes in the end and it forms the climax of the performance. Just like Alapi, the Taan can be performed in three ways: in the form of Akar, in the form of Sargam, and in the form of Bol, or with the use of the words of the Bandish. So let's have a look at how these Taans sound when they are sung in these different elements. Akar Taan sounds something like this.
It's just a shape.
That was the Akar Taan. Now comes the Sargam Taan.
This is like solfege.
Now same Taan using the words of the Bandish sounds something like this. So with the end of this, we have the end of our topic, tools and techniques used to elaborate a rag. I would ask my audience to apply this little knowledge that they have by going to classical concerts or listening to classical audios on YouTube.
Or watching your favorite YouTube
reactions. If you are able to understand which portion is the Alapi, which is the Taan, and when did the Bandish start. So that's it for today's episode. If you are more comfortable viewing this video in Hindi, then you can go check the video which I have made in Hindi specifically. Same video but in Hindi. If you haven't watched my previous episode, which was the first part of this.
So I'm going to pause it here. Yeah, so we'll have a link to her page in the description as always. So you can go check out, you can watch that uninterrupted as well as the Hindi version. So you can go enjoy that. The examples she just gave at the end, I'm so glad she did that, because going back to the very basic twinkle, twinkle, little star, right? It's the same melody we use growing up here to learn our ABCs. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? So the difference there is I changed the lyric, but it still had the same feeling to me, and same melody. When she went through like the Sargam versus the Bandish and the, what was the first one? The Akar?
Oh, I don't remember.
I know. I have to still hear it 100 times. But it was more than just changing the shape of the word. The delivery, it felt completely different. That's fascinating to me.
Yeah. Again, that just seemingly innumerable ways you can color a song, and you can express the emotion through song.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just so many ways, and that's sort of the wonderful mystery of music. And it's not just notes, it's not just lyrics, it's not just rhythm. It's a combination of that and just a whole slew of other things, and very subtle things. And I mean, and what better music to exemplify that?
Yes, absolutely.
Than indie music. Yeah.
So next week we're going to react to another segment of a Raag. I don't know which one. We have lots of suggestions. Continue suggesting them in the comments. And also, for those of you who might be interested, we have memberships available for as little as $1 per month. We have you get access to Sunday Shorts, which is our exclusive content. And as a member, you can give us clips. They could be just, singing. They could be certain instruments, whatever you would like us to react to, you can submit there. And that could be a whole lot of fun, something to check out. And I think that's it for today.
Yes, and check out our Indian music playlist. Many videos to enjoy. And we will see you in the next video.
Bye for now.
Take care.